Hello, this is the Watchdog, and welcome back to Fun with Watches. If watches weren't fun, you'd only need one. Today we're going to review the ADDIESDIVE MY-H5 Tuna Watch. Let's start out with the wrist check. It's Friday, and we haven't done Disney Friday in a while. So I'm wearing my Invicta Mickey Mouse watch, and Grogo's wearing a SII Disney watch. It's got Mickey, Donald, and Goofy on it. Grogo says Boba Fett and Don Jr. teamed up to start a seafood restaurant. They're calling it Boba Trump Shrimp. Here's the watch. This is an ADDIESDIVE watch, so it comes in this nice plastic case. Very similar to the same cases you get with a steel dive or a San Martin. Although I've never reviewed a San Martin on this show yet, but I've seen lots of reviews of them. This is the third ADDIESDIVE watch I reviewed. I reviewed one of their field watches, which I liked, but that was just a $30 quartz watch. And then I reviewed their Captain Willard watch, and I really liked that one. That one got a really rave review from me. And this watch is very similar in appearance, other than being a tuna. And I think they, ADDIESDIVE kept up the good work. This is a really good watch. It was a little bit more money than the Captain Willard, but it's still only $100. And that's a pretty good price for all the watch that you're getting. This is a solid, well-built watch. Tuna watches were developed by Seiko for saturation divers to deal with the helium buildup issue. Other watches dealt with the helium by adding an escape valve. Seiko designed a watch to prevent the helium buildup to begin with. But I have no clue if these AliExpress knockoffs actually prevent helium buildup. If you're not a saturation diver, you're not going to really care. And if you are a saturation diver, then you should probably buy the Seiko, because if you buy this watch, the other saturation divers will probably make fun of you. The watch is 41 millimeters at the bezel, but 46 millimeters at the base of the shroud. It's 14.6 millimeters thick. But since this is a tuna watch, it's got a 44.2 millimeter lug-to-lug. So the lug-to-lug is actually shorter than the case size. It's got 22 millimeter lug width with this engineer bracelet, and this bracelet does not taper. It stays at 22 all the way to the clasp. And it weighs 195 grams on this steel bracelet. It's a pretty heavy watch. Of course, if you want to lighten it up, you could always put it on a leather or a rubber strap. Basically, this is a big, heavy watch, but that's just the reality of a tuna watch. So if you don't like big, heavy watches, then you probably don't want a tuna watch. But if you don't think you can wear it because it's so big, keep in mind that tunas are unique in the fact that they have a lug-to-lug that's smaller than the case size, so they do wear a lot smaller than you would think. Plus, they sit really low. The lugs are really low, so it sits well in your wrist. So I think you can pull this off unless you have a really tiny wrist. It has a fully lumed ceramic bezel with minute markers all around the bezel, not just during the ascension phase. And instead of a lume pip, it has a fully lumed triangle up here. This triangle is lumed. It's not like that Pagani design tuna I had where it was not lumed. The action is good, but it's pretty stiff. And because of the shroud, it's hard to get a good grip. So sometimes you can have difficulty spinning this just because of the grip thing. You kind of have to dig in with your fingernails. So that's just, it would have been nice if the action would have been lighter just because of the grip reason. If it wasn't for the grip, then the action would have been fine. The dial has a nice sunburst effect. The indices are painted on lume. And it's got the ADDIESDIVE name and logo printed on. And then here it says Deep Sea Hunter Automatic 300 meters. It says Deep Sea Hunter all one word because ADDIESDIVE doesn't appear to like spaces. That's why there's no space between Addies and Dive either. Date windows at the 3 o'clock with a white border. And it's got the Seiko style hands with the arrow minute hand. And the Lume second hand, the lollipop's the counterweight instead of at the end there. A lot of Seiko style watches have the stoplight second hand. This does not. It has a dome sapphire crystal, and it says that it has AR coating, and I believe them because it does a good job. You can see right through it. It's not reflecting the light too poorly compared to a lot of the sapphire watches I've reviewed. It has a signed screw-down crown. There's the ADDIESDIVE logo there. And the crown has really good action. When you unscrew it, it pops, and you don't feel a lot of thread resistance or anything when you screw it back down. I really like the crown. And also, you notice it's at the 4 o'clock, not the 3:45 like some watches do. So it won't dig into your hand at all, which is nice for a watch this big. It has a screw down case back with the ADDIESDIVE logo. I'm glad it's not a display case back because that really just doesn't fit the theme of the Tool Watch Tuna. I wish Pagani Design didn't put a display case back on their Tuna. This watch has an NH35 movement, which hand winds and hacks. Once again, we're all familiar with the NH35, so there's no point of doing a time graph on it. They're good movements, but they're not consistent enough where if I give you a time graph, that would indicate what you're going to get when you order one of these. It has a nice engineer bracelet, which is a true 5-link bracelet. Every one of these links articulates individually. They're not put together. Here, let me show you some of the links I removed, and then you can see that, yeah, this is a true 5-link bracelet, not a single link pretending to be a 5-link. The bracelet's really nice. It's fully brushed, solid stainless steel, and the watch has drilled lugs, so it makes removing the bracelet very easy, even though it doesn't have quick release. They had options for a Nato strap, a rubber strap, or a 3-link bracelet. I mean, if you like the 3-link, get the 3-link, but don't choose the Nato or the rubber strap because it's the same price. So you're just going to get less bracelet for the same money. It's easy enough just, I'm sure you have plenty of Nato and rubber straps available to put on this, so why get it on one? The press clasp is very basic, just your simple clasp. It's a really big clasp too, just because the bracelet doesn't taper. And it only has 3 holes of micro adjust, which isn't quite so bad because of the engineered bracelet. The links are smaller than a typical 3-link bracelet, so having 3 isn't too bad. You can still get the good fit. Here's the watch on my 7.5-inch wrist. Looks really nice. I think it wears very well. Once again, due to the lug width and how low the lugs are, it sits really nice on the wrist. Plus, this engineer bracelet articulates very well and goes around the wrist very smoothly. Very comfortable watch. And even though it's heavy, it's very even, so you really don't notice all the weight. Here's the watch on a Nato strap. Looks nice. It's riding kind of high because it's a Nato. One thing I need to warn you about, though, is if your plan is to put this on lots of different Nato straps, it was kind of, here, let me show you. Because of the way the lugs are, it was kind of difficult to thread this Nato during the first lug because it hits against the case. So I actually had to use a tool to thread this. So don't count on really quick swaps with the Nato. Here, let me show you. See how you put it in here? Well, it hits against the case, so you have to take a tool and kind of push it over. Actually, now that I've done it one time, it looks like I can do it without a tool, but the first time was quite difficult. And here's the watch on a rubber strap. Actually, it's silicone, but it looks like rubber. Here we are in the Lume room. We're going to do a side-by-side comparison. On the left, I have my Heimdallr, which has the best lume of any watch I have other than my Seiko 5. And on the right, we have the Pagani Design No Time to Die Homage, which has decent but not spectacular lume. As you can see, the ADDIESDIVE is doing quite well. It's not quite as good as the Heimdallr, but it's very close. One troubling thing though, as you can see, the minute hand is starting to fade quicker than the hour hand. Since the minute hand is more important to the hour hand in a dive style watch, it's too bad that they chose better lume for the hour hand than the minute hand. What do I like about this watch? Well, I like the fully lume ceramic bezel. It looks really nice. Plus, I love this color of blue that they're using. I like this fully brushed steel shroud. Looks nice. And this watch is very comfortable for such a big watch. Has great wrist presence. Has a true 5-link engineered bracelet. And really good lume. Almost as good as my Heimdallr, which cost a lot more than this. What are my gripes and groans? Well, the bezel's a little stiff, and it's really hard to get a grip with this shroud, so spinning the bezel can be difficult. Plus, as you saw in my lume comparison, the minute hand lume isn't as good as the hour lume. You would think if they mix up lumes that they would give the minute hand the better lume and not the hour hand. And the clasp is kind of dull with just 3 micro adjusts. And this really isn't a gripe or groan, but I wish there was an option to pay a little bit more and get a 4 Hz movement such as a PT5000 or a Miyota 9015. Do I recommend this watch? Yes, wholeheartedly yes. For around $100, you're getting a very well made tuna watch. Solidly built, looks nice, wears nice, feels great. This is one of the best watches I've reviewed since I started my channel. Well, thank you for watching my review of the ADDIESDIVE Tuna Watch. And I will be back with another review. I've done all my unboxings for now. I don't have any other watches coming for weeks. So the next one should be a review. Bye.